Hey there geeks and geekettes, it's Mass Movement review time, and it is Marvel, The War of the Realms, Venom. Ooh. So Mass Movement have again provided me with this for reviewing purposes. So The War of the Realms, Venom, is sort of split into two books. So Venom takes in Venom numbers 13 to 15, written by Cullen Bunn, Iban Coelho, Alberto Albuquerque and Roberto Poggi are the artists. Andre Mossa is the colour artist. VC's Clayton Cowles is the letterer. And then the second book, Web of Venom, Cult of Carnage, Frank Thierry is the writer. Danilo S. Beyruth is the artist. Andre Mossa is again the colour artist. Letterer again is VC's Clayton Cowles. So there's all the other people involved, if you want to have a look. So War of the Realms, I'm not sure what came before this because I haven't read the books that lead up to it, but sort of the write-up inside is after laying waste to the nine of the 10 realms, the Dark Elf King Malekith and his powerful allies have finally brought the War of the Realms to Midgard, the last realm standing. Now, if you don't know a great deal, Midgard is Earth. Malekith opened a portal to New York where Eddie Brock and his son Dylan have just arrived. Now Frost Giants and Dark Elves roam the streets, and Eddie, no longer bonded with the alien symbiote Venom, must keep his head down and protect Dylan until all of this blows over. So in true Marvel fashion, and I've read a few things by Cullen Bunn and Albuquerque, VC, Clayton Cowles, etc. The artwork is once again outstanding. This doesn't read like a normal Venom book or sort of the Venom books I've read, because Eddie Brock actually doesn't have the Venom symbiote and he's a human trying to protect his son. He tries to take on some Dark Elves and realises that without the Venom symbiote then he's not as powerful. And then a Dark Elf gives him what's called a Dreamstone. Now this Dreamstone gives the owner the ability to do whatever they dream of doing. So Eddie Brock basically becomes an upgraded version of Venom. Now the Dark Elf gave this stone to Eddie Brock to try and get Venom under their control, to help them take over Earth. And Eddie Brock, being quite a strong character, sort of puts his son into hiding whilst not telling his son that he's his son, that he's his older brother, if that makes sense. And then Venom goes on a rampage, rescuing people and smashing everything else that's in his way. The artwork in this is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed sort of most of the characters' transformations. These characters are not your typical, what you would normally associate with them. Venom's upgraded. Malekith gets upgraded through sort of this Dreamstone, and it leads to a pretty epic battle, and it shows Eddie Brock sort of almost in a heroic sort of light. There's also, so Jack-o'-lantern turns up and he's been upgraded due to this stone. Venom sort of turns into this almost a mixture of Odin and Venom at some point. Jack-o'-lantern is like really overpowered, and the battle they have is pretty epic. And there's some epic splash panels or pages. So yeah, I've really enjoyed this story. I loved sort of the upgrades, and as well as just sort of this epic battle and these characters getting more and more powerful and more sort of things to their disposal because of this dream stone. Eddie Brock is constantly fighting his violent evil side in regards to protecting humans. Basically, he's fighting a battle against these villains, but then he's fighting a battle against his own mind to not turn into some sort of evil villain for their side. Eventually, that would be spoiler territory, but the way Venom and Eddie, or Eddie Brock, in this sort of Venom Dreamstone state win is not typical of Venom. So it's quite a cool twist that I won't spoil for you. So that's obviously the first part. It's quite a hefty chunk of this book, and the second part then is Cult of Carnage, and this is basically the #1 issue of Cult of Carnage. And this Cult of Carnage sort of one issue is enough to have hooked me into the point where I'm going to get the rest. Much like the first book, this doesn't play as your typical Carnage book. This is far more in line with a horror story. There's suspense, there's build-up. You don't really see Carnage until towards the end of the book. This is all about the build-up. So when a psychopathic serial killer and former cellmate Eddie Brock, Cletus Cassidy, was known for his brutality and violence. His capacity for cruelty only grew when he bonded with an aggressive alien symbiote that gave him the ability to construct bladed weapons out of the symbiote's living tissue. Deadlier than ever, Cletus became the killer known as Carnage. Months ago, Carnage took over the small town of Doverton, Colorado, by bonding with every living thing in the town. It took the combined efforts of Spider-Man, Venom, Captain America, Hawkeye, The Thing, Wolverine, and Carnage's symbiote offspring Scorn to finally subdue Carnage and free the town from his deadly grasp. So this book is the aftermath, and involves a character that I quite enjoy, called Misty Knight. And if you've seen Luke Cage, the Netflix series, then there's a version of Misty Knight in there, complete with robotic arm. This sort of reads as almost a whodunit to a certain degree, apart from the title tells you is Carnage. But this is a horror story about grave robbing. Basically, somebody's stealing spines and they're out of people from a grave. Then there's a church involved. And basically all these people in this town in Colorado go into this church, and we don't see what goes on until later on in the book. And I won't spoil that for you, but it is pretty epic. Also in there is, in this story, is John Jameson, the son of Jonah Jameson. And I clearly need to do some catching up with him, because now he is a character called Manwolf. He can turn into a werewolf type thing. So I don't think that's a spoiler. That seems to be something that's sort of out in the open. This story is really dark. It's sort of a possession-esque type thing at certain points. It's about grave robbing. It's as close to a horror story as I've read from Marvel in quite some time. The artwork, if I can find something that's not spoilery, there's almost like a few different types of artwork. Right, if I show you this page, there's these memories that are sort of bathed in red, the memories of what happened to, or what John Jameson is remembering that happened. And then sort of the stuff with Misty is sort of in these neutral colours almost. And this sort of red texture over anything to do with Venom just sort of amplifies the horror element. And that story ends on a massive sort of cliffhanger to keep this story going forward, and I want to get it. And if that's why this book is in here, it's designed to make you want to pick up the comics, and job well done. Not only does it make me want to pick up #2, but it also makes me want to pick up the sort of the Venom story the Venom story previous to this, so I can see about Carnage taking over this town, and then the fight with Spider-Man, Venom, Captain America, Hawkeye, etc. So Marvel, to me, they are absolutely smashing everything they're releasing at the moment. Really enjoyed this book. Loved the artwork. Loved the stories, and they're both very different stories. And not only are they very different from each other, but they are very different from the Carnage and the Venom stories you would associate or normally associate with those characters. So there's something for new readers, there's something for old readers, there's excitement, there's mystery, there's action, there's horror, there's some heart in there, obviously with Eddie Brock and his son, and the massive cliffhanger at the end of the Carnage section of the book. It definitely does its job in drawing you in and wanting you to continue reading. So to mark this book out of 10, 10, another 10. I love my horror, I love my comic books, I love Venom and Carnage as well. So this book was right up my alley anyway, but the fact that it's not your standard stories just sort of tips the scales even further. Then you add the horror element in, the two different types of stories, the fact that they're not something you've read before, something you're not expecting. The artwork is absolutely outstanding, the writing is brilliant. This is my second 10 out of 10 I've given in a week. So guys, you need to check this book out. So guys, there you go, another 10 out of 10 review. Mass Movement keep providing me with these awesome books, and I haven't read anything bad. Marvel are absolutely nailing it lately. It's such a good time to be a comic book fan. So go pick this book up. While you're I still have your attention, please like, share, comment, subscribe, anything that helps my channel out, because I'm now, I think, about 150 viewers, maybe a little bit more by the time this video goes out. Please go and support Mass Movement Magazine, give them a like, follow them on Twitter and all the rest of it. I'll leave their website below, but then if you follow the links to their Twitter, Facebook pages, etc., and share some love. So I've been the Bearded Geek. That was Venom and Carnage, and I'll catch you guys soon for another review or unboxing. Bye.